The laughter hit Marley before she even stepped fully into the ballroom, sharp, glittering, bouncing off marble floors and crystal chandeliers. She froze in the doorway, clutching the thin strap of her dress as if it were the only solid thing in the room. Dozens of eyes had already turned toward her, not warm, not welcoming, just hungry for the next spectacle. And on the small stage ahead, Sienna raised a microphone with the confidence of someone who had never tasted humiliation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sienna announced, a smile slicing across her face. "Before the night ends, we have one last surprise, a special offering." Her hand gestured toward Marley, as if she were an object, instead of Hector and Dana's adopted daughter. The crowd stirred. Even the rich twins Elliot and Rowan, seated at the front in tailored black tuxedos, straightened slightly, sensing something was wrong. Marley's pulse thudded inside her ears as Sienna continued speaking, her voice turning sharper, her joke growing crueler. Marley didn't know it yet, not in that suspended, breathless moment, but what happened next would pull old wounds into the light, unravel lies that shaped her entire life, and tie her fate to the two brothers who watched her now with a seriousness entirely out of place in that golden, laughing room. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. Marley's shoes made the faintest sound on the polished floor as she stepped forward, pulled by Sienna's voice even though every fiber of her body begged to run in the opposite direction. Guests leaned toward one another, whispering behind champagne glasses. Some laughed openly. Others lifted their phones, already recording, already turning her into a moment of entertainment for strangers. Sienna lowered the microphone just enough to smirk at Marley, a quiet, private cruelty that contrasted with her public smile. "Come on," she whispered, though the word was more command than encouragement. "Try not to look so tense. It's just a joke." Hector and Dana stood near the back wall, frozen in horror. Hector's hand hovered at his side, as if trying to reach for Marley without crossing the line that separated staff from guests. Dana's face trembled, eyes shining with the helplessness of a mother who wanted to tear the world apart for her daughter, but couldn't. Not here, not among this wealthy family that owned everything around them. Then Elliot rose from his chair. He didn't rush, he didn't posture. He simply stood, as if rejecting the script everyone else had accepted. Rowan watched him, jaw tight, his fingers slowly curling against his knee. The twins exchanged a look, silent, layered, the kind only brothers like them could understand. They were often called the rich twins by magazines, investors, gossip columns. But right now that title felt distant compared to the stillness in Elliot's eyes. Sienna lifted the mic again. "Elliot, perfect. Step right up. Since you're the more charming of the two." Elliot took the mic from her calmly. The room quieted, sensing something shift. He looked at Marley, not at her dress or the awkwardness of her posture, but into her eyes, searching, steady, almost grounding. When he spoke, his voice didn't rise. It simply carried. "I'll take her," he said, echoing the ballroom's expectation for spectacle. Then he added, "but not as something to be auctioned." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Confusion, displeasure. Some guests lowered their phones. Others leaned even closer, disappointed that the joke wasn't unfolding as planned. Rowan stood next, adjusting his tuxedo as if preparing to join his brother on a battlefield. "If my brother is going," he said quietly, "I'm going too." People laughed again, this time uncertainly, a sound mixed with curiosity and irritation. Elliot stepped down from the stage and offered Marley his hand. He didn't force. He didn't gesture theatrically. He simply waited. Marley hesitated for a heartbeat, her breath trembling, her mind screaming to disappear. But then she saw Hector's eyes, soft, proud, urging her to hold on to her dignity. She lifted her chin, placed her hand in Elliot's, and let him guide her down the steps. Sienna watched them with a clenched jaw, the smile on her face cracking at the edges as the room fell into a strange, disappointed silence, one she had not planned for at all. But Rowan's gaze drifted past the lights, past the guests. Something had begun, and Marley felt the shift in her bones as clearly as the cold air that pressed against her skin, something that neither she nor the twins could walk back from now. Outside the ballroom, the hallway was dimmer, quieter, with only the muffled echoes of chatter leaking through the heavy doors. Marley pulled her hand back gently, not wanting to seem ungrateful, but trying desperately to breathe without 100 eyes dissecting her. "Are you okay?" Elliot asked softly. She hated that the question almost undid her composure. "I'm fine," she managed, though her voice wavered too much for her liking. You didn't have to do that." Rowan leaned against the wall beside them, arms crossed loosely. "Someone had to," he murmured. "That was humiliating, and you know it wasn't right." Marley looked between the brothers, two men raised in wealth she couldn't relate to, yet showing more humanity in this hallway than anyone had inside the ballroom. The contrast carved something sharp inside her chest. "You're part of their world," she said. "Standing up for me doesn't change anything. Tomorrow they'll forget this happened, but I won't." Elliot's expression shifted, something like regret flickering in his eyes. "You shouldn't have to carry it alone." Marley hugged her own arms lightly, the fabric of her cardigan warming beneath her fingertips. "I've carried far worse." Rowan's gaze sharpened. "What did Sienna mean when she said your family offered you? That wasn't a misunderstanding." The air tightened. Marley swallowed. "Hector and Dana didn't know. They would never agree to something like that. They didn't even know Sienna planned it." Elliot exhaled slowly. "So she set you up?" "Pretty much," Marley whispered. "I'm the adopted daughter they never expected. Easier to treat me like a prop." The brothers exchanged a look, anger quiet but unmistakable. Footsteps echoed from around the corner. Dana appeared first, her breath uneven as if she'd walked too fast. Hector followed, eyes scanning Marley with frantic softness. "Sweetheart," Dana murmured, cupping Marley's shoulders. "Are you hurt? Did she—" "I'm fine," Marley said again, softer this time. Elliot stepped back to give them space. Rowan did the same, though he watched Marley with subtle concern. Dana turned to the twins, voice trembling. "Thank you. You didn't have to help her, but you did." Elliot shook his head. "We only did what any decent person should." Hector glanced toward the ballroom doors, jaw tightening. "You two should know. Sienna isn't done. She's furious her plan didn't land." Marley felt a chill crawl up her spine. "Let her be angry, I just want to go home." But as she said it, Rowan's gaze flicked down the hall, toward a familiar silhouette standing near the corner. Sienna, watching them. Her expression unreadable in the shadows, except for the thin, icy smile spreading across her face. Whatever she had planned, she wasn't done. The following morning, Chicago's winter wind pressed sharply against Marley's cheeks as she stepped off the bus near the community center where she volunteered twice a week. Her breath puffed out in pale clouds, dissolving quickly into the frozen air. She had barely slept, replaying last night's humiliation in looping flashes, the laughter, the pointing, Elliot's calm voice cutting through the noise. She pushed through the community center doors, grateful for the warmth. Inside, the building hummed with low conversation, the smell of old radiators, coffee and laundry detergent mixing into a strangely comforting scent. Children ran past with donated coats too big for them. An older man arranged canned goods on a metal shelf. "Marley," called Jessa, the center's coordinator, waving a clipboard. "Thank God. We're short-staffed today." Marley smiled faintly and set her bag down. Being here made her feel grounded, useful in ways the Dawson household never allowed. "Just tell me where you need me." Jessa pointed toward a table piled with winter clothing. "Sorting and handing out gloves, and, oh, 2 guys asked for you. Said they'd wait." Marley frowned. "2 guys?" But before Jessa could answer, the door opened again and Elliot walked in, Rowan right behind him. They looked terribly out of place, hands deep in coat pockets, hair dusted with snowflakes, eyes searching until they landed on her. "What are you doing here?" Marley whispered when they approached. Elliot shrugged lightly. "Checking on you," Rowan added. "And we figured you might need help." Jessa raised an eyebrow approvingly. "Well, if they're willing, we certainly have work." So they were given tasks. Elliot helped unload boxes from a delivery truck. Rowan knelt beside 2 little kids, trying to fasten zippers on their winter coats. Marley watched them between sorting gloves, the sight stirring something warm she didn't want to name. Hours later, when the flow of families slowed, Marley finally confronted them. "You didn't have to waste your Saturday on this." "It wasn't a waste," Elliot replied, wiping his hands on his jacket. "Besides, after what happened last night, and we wanted to understand more." Marley stiffened slightly. "Understand what?" Rowan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Why Sienna is targeting you? Why she went that far?" Marley's eyes fell to the floor. "Because I'm easy to target." "That's not an answer," Elliot said gently, but before Marley could speak, her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but the preview text froze her. "If you want to know the truth about your adoption, come alone. Tonight." Marley's fingers tightened around the phone. A rush of cold swept through her, colder than the Chicago wind outside. Rowan noticed her expression shift. "Marley, what's wrong?" She locked the screen quickly. "Nothing. I should finish sorting these." But Elliot wasn't convinced. Not at all. And as she walked away, the brothers exchanged a glance that held both concern and the beginning of suspicion. Threads of truth they didn't yet understand, but would soon be tangled in. Snow fell heavier that evening, layering the sidewalks in soft white as Marley walked toward the address in the message, an old unused administrative building near the river. Streetlights flickered against the windows, casting the place in a faint, eerie glow. She shouldn't have gone. She knew that. But every step felt pulled by something deeper, a whisper of past questions she'd learned to bury. She pushed open the creaking door. The air inside was cold, stale, like the building hadn't been touched for years. Her footsteps echoed as she walked down the narrow hallway. A figure stepped from the shadows. Sienna, of course. Marley's breath hitched. "What is this? What truth?" Sienna folded her arms, her expression strangely calm. "You shouldn't have embarrassed me last night." Marley blinked. "You humiliated me in front of hundreds of people." "And you ruined the moment," Sienna snapped. "You think Elliot and Rowan defended you because you matter? Please, they were bored. They wanted a scene." Marley swallowed hard. "You messaged me about my adoption. Don't play games." Something dark flickered across Sienna's face. She reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope, aged, creased, fragile from time. "This," Sienna said, holding it between two fingers, "was hidden in the Dawson archives, found by accident when I was cleaning out storage for the gala." Marley stared. "What is it?" "A letter," Sienna replied. "About you. Signed the day you were adopted." Marley felt her heart thud so hard it hurt. "Give it to me." Sienna slipped the envelope back into her pocket. "Not yet. I want something first." "What?" "Distance." Sienna stepped closer, face tightening. "Stay away from the twins." Marley's breath stilled. "Why would I?" "Because they're my family," Sienna hissed. "Because they're the heirs. Because everything in this world belongs to us. And you." Her eyes raked over Marley. "You are a guest in a life that isn't yours." Marley's jaw clenched. "I'm not bargaining with you for my own past." Sienna smirked. "Then you'll never know what's inside this letter." Behind them, a loud crack echoed, like a footstep on old wood. Sienna stiffened. Marley turned sharply. And from the shadows near the stairwell, Elliot stepped forward, Rowan beside him. Snow clung to their shoulders. Their expressions were nothing like earlier. They weren't confused anymore. They were furious. "Give her the letter," Elliot said, voice low and unshakable. Sienna's smirk vanished. Rowan stepped closer, eyes hard. "Now." Sienna backed up slowly, cornered by the cold anger in the twins' stares, realizing she had underestimated not just Marley, but both of them. And Marley, heart-pounding, understood something else entirely. Whatever was inside that envelope, it wasn't just about her adoption, it was about all of them. For a long second, no one moved. The wind howled faintly against the cracked windows, the only sound in the abandoned building. Sienna's fingers tightened around the envelope. "You followed her," she hissed at Elliot and Rowan. "You lured her here alone," Rowan replied, his voice low. "Of course we followed." Marley stood between them, heart racing. "I don't need anyone fighting my battles," she said, though her voice shook. Elliot glanced at her gently. "This isn't just your battle anymore." He stepped forward, hand outstretched. Give me the letter, Sienna. Sienna shook her head. You don't understand what's in it. Then help us understand, Rowan said. Because from where we're standing, you used it to manipulate her. Something wavered in Sienna's eyes. Fear, not arrogance. Marley caught it and frowned. You're scared, she whispered. Sienna's jaw clenched. The fight drained from her shoulders, leaving her looking suddenly smaller, younger. She pulled out the envelope and stared at it for a beat before pressing it into Marley's hand. Read it, she muttered, but don't say I didn't warn you. Marley's fingers trembled as she broke the brittle seal. The paper inside was yellowed at the edges, written in looping ink. She read silently at first. Then the words blurred and she had to whisper them aloud, just to anchor herself. To whoever cares for this child in the future, her name at birth was Lila Dawson. Her breath hitched. The room blurred. Elliot stepped closer instinctively. Keep going, Rowan said softly. She is the daughter of my son, Adrian Dawson, and a woman he loved but could not marry. The family insists the baby be placed discreetly for adoption to avoid scandal. I disagree, but I am old and outvoted. I leave this letter as record, hoping one day she finds not only a home but her name again. Signed, Eleanor Dawson. Marley's knees nearly buckled. Dawson, she whispered. Your last name. Elliot felt the floor tilt beneath him. His grandmother, his father, all those hushed arguments behind office doors when he was a kid, fragments suddenly rearranged into a picture that made awful sense. You're our... Rowan didn't finish the sentence. The word stuck in his throat. Sienna looked away, eyes bright with something that wasn't mockery this time. You think I wanted this? She snapped, voice cracking. When I found that letter, I realized the family would have one more heir, one more person they'd love more, protect more. I've been fighting for a seat at that table my whole life. Marley stared at her. So you humiliated me? I tried to make you leave before they could choose you over the rest of us, Sienna whispered. Because they always do. The silence that followed was heavier than any accusation. Outside, snow kept falling, like the city didn't care about the secrets being dragged into the light. Elliot finally spoke. We can't change what our father did, but we can choose what we do now. And for the first time, Marley realized this wasn't just about where she came from. It was about who all of them were going to become after this night. The mansion felt strangely still when Marley returned the next morning. No crowds, no glittering laughter, just the quiet hum of a house finally stripped of its performance. Adrian waited in his study, the letter on his desk like a small ghost between them. Elliot and Rowan stood nearby, not speaking, only watching her with the same steady concern they had carried since that night in the abandoned building. Marley sat across from Adrian, her hands folded tightly in her lap. I'm not here for a fight, she said softly. I just want this to end clean. Adrian nodded slower than usual, as if each movement cost him something. I read the letter again, he said, and I realized I've spent my entire life protecting a legacy I barely believe in. Your grandmother wanted better. I should have listened. Marley looked down. I don't want your name. I don't want the spotlight or the inheritance. I only want one thing, truth, public, official, permanent, not a rumor, not a secret, a record of who I am and who you were supposed to be. Rowan stepped forward. We'll support that, all of it. Elliot added, and the program we already drafted the first proposal, housing assistance, scholarships, therapy for foster youth. Your voice is at the center of it. Adrian swallowed, shoulders slumping. If you'll allow it, I'd like to be part of that work too. Marley hesitated. The hurt still lived inside her, deep and old. But she saw the sincerity in his eyes. Not polished, not performative. Just a man trying to rise out of the shadows of mistakes he could no longer hide from. You can help, she said quietly, but you don't get to claim me, not as a daughter, not after everything. Adrian nodded, accepting the boundary with a quiet exhale. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was honest, and that was finally enough for all of them to breathe. 3 months later, winter had softened into a hesitant spring, and the community center buzzed with the gentle chaos of new beginnings. A bronze plaque hung beside the entrance, freshly polished and gleaming in the afternoon sun. The Lila program. for every child who feels forgotten. Marley brushed her fingertips over the engraved surface, feeling the weight of the journey that had brought her here and the quiet power of standing on her own name. Inside, Elliot and Rowan unloaded donated laptops for the students. There were no cameras, no headlines, no curated photo ops. The rich twins moved with an easy humility that had grown naturally from the night spent listening, learning, and choosing to help without being asked. Somewhere between the shattered gala and this warm, bustling room, they had become something steadier, men who showed up because it mattered. Hector and Dana stood near the doorway with coffee cups in hand, watching Marley with a pride that softened every line of their faces. All their fears, that the letter would steal her away, that truth would overshadow love, had faded. Marley stayed rooted where she always belonged, held by the family that raised her and strengthened by the truth that no longer frightened her. Even Sienna lingered by the hallway, waiting for her appointment with the new counselor. When her eyes met Marley's, she didn't look away. Marley offered a small nod, a silent invitation toward redemption. Sienna returned the gesture. Marley stepped outside into the cool, bright air. She was no longer a secret, no longer a joke, no longer a name erased in someone else's story. She was Marley Ortiz, steadfast, seen, and unafraid of the road ahead. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this heart-touching story. Tell us in the comments which moment touched you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell to receive more stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like if you believe in the invisible strength of kindness, dignity, and family. And thank you for being part of this community that believes in stories with soul.